Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Mila and I decided to launch this channel alongside a podcast called The Next Big Move with Mila. Now, fair warning, I have never done anything like this, so all the footage will be raw and unedited until I learn how to edit, so we're just going to flow with it. So, like I said, I've decided to launch The Next Big Move with Mila after having launched 2 companies in 2024. The idea behind this channel and the podcast is to bring together my 2 companies, Nexa Strategic and Wings of Legacy, and then offer them on a platform where it's available to everybody, in addition to coaching sessions that will be connected to Nexa. So, Nexa Strategic is an AI operational consultancy that I launched in March of 2024. My previous work as operations manager, COO, and chief of staff had led me to deciding that I wanted to open my own consultancy and offer basically what I've done for 5 years to anybody. This was encouraged by a few people who, after working with me, friends and family, asked, why don't you just work for yourself and monetize what you do and sort of be your own boss? So I decided to take the leap and the risk and start my own company. Nexa Strategic, like I said, is an operational consultancy, but was born out of every department or every industry that I have previously worked in. So I've worked in startups, scale-ups and SMEs, crossing from advertising and marketing to pharma, to COVID testing and FIFA sports, to crypto, financial services, KYC AML, and lastly, professional development. I've realized that across the board and across the stage of company, the same pain points exist. So having worked in a back office operation department role for the majority of my career, I found that often founders and CEOs focus heavily on revenue generating departments. They don't particularly want to spend money where they can't see immediate return. So departments such as legal, compliance, HR, and ops are often forgotten until either shit hits the fan and they need to do an end of year tax return, or they enter hyper growth and realize that they need to start playing catch up with either demands from their clients or VC funding if that's the route they've gone down. So my idea behind Nexa was to change through an educational piece and the consultancy that I have. I will call it consultancy. I will vary between an advisory as well. The way that I view Nexa and the way I've marketed it is in a hybrid approach to consulting. So I know that consulting can be quite a daunting word and nobody actually wants to work with consultants these days. So the approach that I have is a hybrid approach. We call it a DIY, DWI, or outsourcing. And so we framed that as a consultancy, an advisory service, and an outsourcing company. Each of which is obviously dependent on the stage of the company, what they need from us, what we can offer them. But like I say, this is a hybrid approach to consulting. The operational consultancy essentially came about, like I said, from my desire to monetize what I did and be my own boss. Like I've also previously said, working with CEOs and founders whose entire ethos is revenue generating. Oftentimes coming in as a CEO, you sort of feel that you're slowing the company down, telling people no oftentimes. I think my biggest day to day in every company has been sort of looking at what their processes are and asking, why are we doing this? Surely we can just do this better. We can automate this, or why are we writing it down by paper? It's the 21st century. This can all be either recorded or online. So it gets kind of pessimistic where a lot of the times people are asking and expecting you to say yes, but obviously from an ops perspective and a legal perspective, you say no about 80% of the time, and people don't really want to be told no often. So I've decided to launch Nexa Strategic, like I said, last year, with the idea of doing an educational piece on how a company should be formed. Now, I'm not claiming to know everything. I'm not a genius, but having realized, and like I said, worked in many different industries, the same points of operational pain exist. So Nexa Strategic, sorry, I will get the name of my own company right at some point. Nexa Strategic even offers advisory, consulting, and outsourcing in compliance, finance, legal, HR, marketing, ops, risk, and strategy. I think that's all we offer at the moment. Essentially, we are a solution to a problem, and oftentimes we're a solution to a problem that startups and scale-ups don't even know they have. So it is really a educational piece of lessons learned and changing the approach to how a company should be started and run. My goal behind Nexa is that once a company is set up, we're going to keep going through. We're going to keep going. I'm not starting again. So my goal with Nexa is to educate and change the perspective of how a company is started and run, in the idea that yes, revenue is very important, and without it, there's no point in having a company. However, once target, keep going. Christ. Once market fit is tested and there is a case study and a need for your product in the market or a service in the market, my strongest suggestion is to focus on how the operations and back office of your company is. Do you have a HR department? How is your legal run? Do your team have contracts? Do they know what their contracts are? Do you know what their rights are? Do you have insurance? There's a lot of questions that are asked that, like I said, founders and CEOs don't even know that they should ask. So Nexa basically comes in hand, asks the questions that you might not know you need to be asking, and then we offer either a solution where we do it with you, do it for you, or we tell you how to do it and train you to do it yourself. The other side of the company that I've launched in 2024 is Wings of Legacy. So that is originally a Women in Aviation event that was launched in October, with the event being in December in Serbia. The idea behind Wings of Legacy actually came about from seeing a market and a demand, but not a lot of supply for equality in genders, but also empowerment and elevation of specifically women in Southeast Europe. Now, I'm not trying to disrupt any politics or cultural norms or societal norms. However, the bigger question that we had was, specifically in Serbia, why a lot of times in a lot of technical universities or trade schools during education, women are the bigger percentage of students that we see. And then once they enter career and sort of the workforce, it kind of flips. So there's more men than there is women. And I think we're all aware of the answer of that. And like I say, I'm not trying to disrupt the status quo, but I do think it's worth addressing. And I do think there is a need for a platform like this where women are celebrated and elevated. And to be fair, not just women, but anyone who is not a man and in male-dominated fields. I do believe this platform exists. And again, this was proven to us with the successful launch of our inaugural event in December in Serbia. That was a Women in Aviation event focused on the different aspects and sectors within aviation. So we had a panel focusing on pilots and captains. We had a panel on ground handling. We had a panel on ATC, on engineers, and lastly in aviomedical. We had a lot of panelists, and I'm very thankful for them all coming. We covered the world essentially. So we had a few people from Bosnia, we had a few people come from Europe, and we had Boeing and Vanessa come from America. So very good turnout, a lot of demand and a lot of interest. And that basically resulted in us elevating Wings of Legacy from just a Women in Aviation event to a members platform and education piece. The focus, like I said, is Southeast Europe, specifically with the Balkans, because I myself am Serbian and I'd like to fix my home before I go out and tell people how to fix their homes. So the idea from Wings of Legacy, like I said, escalated from an event-only business to a platform for mentorship, internship, and education, with the events being now complementary to that platform piece. The focus, again, is Southeast Europe, like I said, but we aren't focusing just on aviation anymore. We are also expanding to any industry where basically it's women in male-dominated areas. And I know that is a trend, and I know that's a meme or something going around, but that definitely is, especially in Southeast Europe, something that needs to be discussed. And I'd like to develop a platform and a community where this is discussed openly. So that brings us back to the channel. So The Next Big Move with Mila basically ties in all of these companies and all of these initiatives that I have and gives it a platform where we can discuss both things in one platform, like I've said. So we have a YouTube channel that is starting with this. There's also a podcast on Spotify, and will probably be on other streaming podcast platforms once I realize what they are. So yeah, that is the idea. So maybe a bit more context into what the actual platform is of the Next Big Move. So we will be having 2 episodes per week. The first episode at the beginning of the week will be guests, and these guests will be the people that have been our panelists at the events. So the event being in December is now the first series of our guests, and that will feature Vanessa Mixa from Boeing and her talk about how international students, specifically with her experience being from Serbia, can apply and go and study abroad in America, specifically focused on PPL and private pilot licenses. We also have Bosilka Rezo, who is head of ground operations at Mostar Airport in Bosnia, discussing how she came to her position and sort of any barriers that she may have had to her career. We will then also have Vanessa. Keep going. It's raw. We will also have Maya Ilic, who is an automotive influencer, lawyer, and PPL license holder, discussing again how she came about with her story and an inspiring tale. Again, also a woman from Serbia, how she went and did her PPL in Florida during the 90s and noughties. And then we will also be having Tamara Pejovic from Eurocontrol and Branka Subotic from Skyguide in Switzerland, discussing their journeys. Their topics are still being thought about and brainstormed, so I'm not going to be sharing anything at the moment. It will be a surprise when they're launched in February. But that is essentially what the first series is. It will be closing off the guests that we had in December. The second part of the the second part of the YouTube channel and podcast actually, will be my coaching sessions. So I've decided that the knowledge I have and the intuition to business that I have at the moment is from years of experience, both good experience and bad experience. And now I would like to offer it through coaching on YouTube and at some point maybe on a different platform where we can create a community. But the idea is to offer education, and anyone who wants to know how they need to tackle operations, compliance, legal, finance, HR, marketing, risk and strategy can watch this YouTube channel even. The idea is that each department that I have ever worked in, I will break it down into sort of foundational level courses. So we start off with the essentials in like operations and identifying bottlenecks, the essentials in compliance, the essentials in legal, and we break them down into sort of bite-sized 15-20 minute videos where I teach what I know. Again, some stuff I've learned through trial and error, some stuff I've just taught myself, but I'd like to offer the knowledge that I have to a wider audience. And if I can help anyone start an operations or start a business and mitigate their risk or fear of failure, I'd love to be able to offer that. So the idea behind the coaching sessions is that they'll start off at a foundation level. And once we go through all the foundations of each department, we'll then do and focus more on the micro niches of each department. So for example, in compliance, what is KYC? What is AML? Sort of what are the standards in America? What are the standards in the EU? With privacy and legal, we'll look at GDPR and how that differs between sort of UK GDPR and EU GDPR and America that has its own states. So much more on the coaching session is an education piece. My goal as well is to offer templates, worksheets, or any sort of guide about how what I do, like I said, second nature, someone can learn and then eventually be able to do it as well as an intuition. So that is my channel. That is who I am. I think probably we'll do another video where I discuss maybe a bit more about my background and my credibility and authority to discuss what I was saying, because at the moment I'm just a girl with a microphone and a camera and a ring light, and that is enough for the moment. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and come join us on the next big move with Mila.